A nice little group.
Nice.
Perfect.
So while we're waiting for Mike, I just want to say thanks for joining me, and hopefully this isn't too painful for all of you. We're going to learn this together. So I've been playing around with Zoom for a while, but not to the point of doing training this way. So please, any suggestions, any guidance, my husband cleaned my office a little bit for me, but we won't show you that direction because it's just one hot mess. So if you have, like, this is going to be an open discussion, the same as if we were sitting in the boardroom in Halifax and going through our training. I'm struggling with a couple of the pointers that I normally use. So what I'm probably going to do is be sending you some email attachments after we're finished each session, because I do have some homework for you and some notes that I want to provide for you to use as reference points. And because of the current situations, I'm trying to round out our training a little bit more, taking into consideration that you're not going to be sort of hitting the ground running as quickly as we want to, but trying to make up a difference on that to get you on the road as quickly as possible. Okay, so normally during the course of this month that we're going to be doing, we go through the practical side of stuff. Today we're going to start with building your business and just having a little bit of an open discussion of where everybody thinks they want to be, any questions, concerns, hesitancies that you have that we can help out with. Get that stuff out of the way. And then what we're going to do starting on Wednesday, we'll start doing the hands-on stuff where we're actually going to be working with a buyer. We start on the buyer side and I go through the whole buyer's process. The first stumbling block I run into on the buyer side is going to be, I normally have you go out and we actually do showings. We schedule showings on vacant properties. So we use showing time, we use the lockbox. We actually go look at some properties, just the etiquette, stuff like that. And then we actually do a home inspection with a home inspector. And we do the whole 4-hour home inspection. Then she comes back in and goes over the report with us. That's one hiccup. Those pieces are a bit of a hiccup that I've got to try and put in place. We can talk about the lockbox and access and stuff like that. And I can show you remotely from my side to you. And once I have each of you with an office key that you can go into the office and access a lockbox, then we can do hands-on with lockbox as well. So we're gonna get around those pieces that we're gonna sort of have to recreate, but we will get them done sooner than later, hopefully. And then once we're finished the buyer side, we're going to be moving into the seller side. We are going to talk about open houses and hosting open houses and putting together a bit of a toolbox on how to go about that and perform a successful open house. We just won't be going to doing them right yet. Once we're able to get back out and start doing open houses, then what I'll do is I'll have each of you go out with an experienced who I select, and the reason I select them is because of their success at capturing buyers at open houses. So my whole point is trying to get you out there, if you're comfortable with doing open houses, to actually be able to gain momentum very quickly. Okay, so we will be working around that as well. We're going to follow the transaction of a buyer from start to finish, right to where we actually send the paperwork to the office and you actually see what that process looks like. And then we go into the listing side of it and we do the exact same thing dealing with sellers. So bearing with me a little bit that we're going to have to work out a few kinks. That is our intended plan over the next few weeks, hopefully. I am going to add in, because we have a little bit of time, I guess it's sort of nice in a way that we're actually going to be able to be a bit more specific on some of your building pieces, getting you into the Royal LePage system and taking advantage of what the Royal LePage network has to offer. Most of my new agents that come on board, it gets overlooked very quickly. Because we get caught up in doing this stuff and getting out and going. So the good part for you guys is there's a lot of great resources in the Royal LePage system, not only the Royal LePage Atlantic, but the Royal LePage corporate side of things that I want to start tapping into. And I think it will actually help you guys build your toolbox a little bit stronger as well. So now that I've said my little piece, let's have a little quick run through. We'll start with Melissa. We'll go to Jamie. We'll go to Shay. We'll go to Dave. Darcy. Okay, once she jumps on, we'll add her in. Just. Oh, there you are. Hey, you hear us?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay, so I'm just going to run through a little introduction with everybody. Just a little hi, let's get going. So we're going to start with Melissa. If you want to start with a little letting us know how you feel, what your thoughts are, and we'll move on to Jamie.
Sure. Hi. Good morning, everyone. Happy to be here. Feeling good. Glad to have got my license. Be on the other side of all that. That's exciting, of course, in this very strange time that we're in. And so looking forward to going through the new agent training, and also just, I'm sure that day by day we're going to find out how we'll be maybe shifting things a little bit slightly to the new circumstances. So yeah, I'm actually going through a move today from the place I'm in to a new place. So I may not be at tomorrow's meeting, but I hope to join back in on Wednesday's meeting. So yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Jamie Lynn. Very excited to, of course, get started. I was a little bit hesitant, but I figured, you know what, things are thrown in there. You never know what's going to happen. It's always great to know different ways to do things. This might not be the normal way of doing things, but it's always, like I said, good to know different avenues to take and always be prepared. So I'm excited to get started and see how this all works out.
Wonderful. Shay.
Hi. Yeah, same here. I'm, apprehensive about the market and also a little bit excited as well too, but you got to start somewhere. So here we are. And I think it is a good timing for us, I guess, like you said, Dawn, we'll have a little extra time to learn sort of the backside of things and yeah, get started with a little bit more knowledge than just jumping right in. So it might work out well.
Awesome. Thank you. Dave.
Yeah, I'm Dave. Nice to meet some of you that I haven't met. I've met a few of you here at the Royal LePage training. Pretty excited to be on this side of the exam, have that behind me, and I don't have to think about math for a little while, so that's kind of nice.
Oh, you got hit with the math one, did you?
I got some math, and I didn't do, I guessed on most of them, to be honest, and I'm based on my score, I'm pretty sure I got all of them wrong. But that's okay. We made it to the other side, so it's all right.
Yeah.
I'm excited to be getting started, even though it's kind of a weird time to be doing so, like everybody else. I think it might work to a bit of an advantage for us too, just because we do get to kind of ease our way into it. I know it would be nice to hit the ground running, of course, but it's also nice to get a little bit of background information first, doing it this way.
Awesome.
I'm right now sitting in my daughter's playroom, so there is a chance that a 4-year-old might run in here screaming, "Daddy, Daddy," at any moment, just so you know.
I have a 25-year-old that might run in saying the same thing other than mommy. Darcy, are you still there?
Oh yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay.
So Darcy is one of the agents who has already been licensed. So do you want to do a little quick introduction to the group, Darcy, of who you are, where you're at? And Mike hasn't joined us yet, so which is funny.
Okay. I'm Darcy Silas, and I live in Lunenburg, Nova Scotia, obviously, Nova Scotia. And I've been a realtor now since February 12th, actually. And so I've done half of the training, as Dawn has said, so I know a little bit. And I've also actually just did my first transaction.
Congratulations.
Yeah, I was supposed to have a closing today, but some of the funding hasn't come through and stuff, and so there's been a bit of a mix-up on that on their end. So I'm just waiting for that to be cleared up, and then hopefully we'll get that done, and I'll have my actually underneath my belt. So what I've learned has been great already, and it's been good practice for me. What I've learned to put it into practice, I should say, and of course. I've also been taking this time that we've all been kind of isolated to go on the different platforms to learn as much as I can about Paragon and the web forums and what have you. And so that's been good. And I'm looking forward to learning a lot more.
Awesome.
So happy to meet you all.
Great. Thank you. So I still don't see Mike. I'll follow up with him. I just sent a quick message. So to get started, have each of you fully licensed with NSREC?
I have.
Dave has.
I have.
Melissa had, but Jamie Lynn, you guys are doing yours today, or?
We are waiting for our criminal record checks to come back
Oh,
Thursday.
okay, okay. Yeah, I wonder if there's much delay with those, actually. Never.
I had done mine online through RCMP, but
Okay.
then Pam said they wouldn't accept that, and it was all cleared. But then, so we ended up going down to Halifax Regional on Friday.
Okay,
and getting
so
ours.
They said
can I
Wednesday.
backtrack to just 2 steps? NSRC wouldn't accept the one online by RCMP?
No,
Did she say why?
no, they just said they don't accept any online.
Online component.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
You have
interesting.
to go
I've not
in.
been told that before, because I had somebody in my last group that did the online, and I don't think they had a problem with it.
No.
So
I
I'll follow
don't-
up with Pam on that, because it's a clarity point for me. Okay, so you
Cost me an
guys,
extra $50.
are you serious?
Yeah, I had to pay another $50 because RCMP is actually closed. So I had to go down to the Halifax Regional. So they're not accepting, RCMP aren't accepting, and I'm in Tantallon. So I had to go downtown. That's what the other little delay was. Yeah.
That's sucky.
Mm-hmm.
All new stuff. It's very interesting. We're creatures of habit, I guess, right? So we have the two of you that don't have your Paragon access or your property online. Melissa, Mike, Melissa, Dave, Mike, and Darcy, you all have Paragon property online and all that access available to you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Have Darcy, I know you're good and up to speed with that. Melissa and Dave, have you actually gone into Paragon? Have you gone on to property online?
I have. I've gone into Paragon, not property online.
Okay.
And is that your Access Nova Scotia, the property online? Because I noticed it was like 45 cents a minute.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, so
45
property
cents.
online is one of the things that it's a fee for service. It's by minute. And you don't log out of it the traditional, like you can't just shut out of it. We are going to use property online. What I'm going to do is I'm going to access it and share my screen with you guys so that you can walk through it, so you don't have to incur the expense of it. I might spend about $8 a month on property online. And that's with me doing training, and that's with me doing searches and stuff for agents. So I probably use it a fair amount, but I do know agents that do get like $20 a month bills. It's not astronomical, but it all does add up over time. And it's one of those things that we're billed from Access Nova Scotia. It is a secure site, so the public can't access it unless they go into the land registry office. So as long as you have your access to it, that's all I'm looking for, so that we can get you in and make sure you know how to get into it. We probably won't use your accounts a whole lot getting going. It's more a reference point to make sure that you know how to get into it. We won't touch those pieces until everybody has their access, which we should be good on that. Jamie Lynn and Shay, if you're not fully up and running with NSRC and NSAR by Wednesday morning, if you let me know, then what I can do is I can get you some temporary access to Paragon, so that you're not falling behind on that side of things, if you're good with that.
So they said Thursday to call them for the criminal record checks.
Okay, so I'm going to get you to Paragon access. We have some admin accounts that we have at the office that are a bit generic. So I'm going to grab 2 accesses. I'll get them to both of you guys offside so that you can get the login information, so that Wednesday we can start popping into Paragon. Because ideally that's sort of where we're going, in that direction. Perfect. So by next week, when we get hardcore training, everybody will be up and running and we'll be good to go.
Yep.
Awesome. Okay. So what I want to keep today's session on, and this is the way I do every first session, is everybody has their own perceptions and their own misconceptions and their own thoughts, and we all have those questions about, we know why we got into this business and we know what we think we can do and what we want to do, and then we start hearing people telling us that it's not realistic or this is that. And for you guys, you're facing a very unique time. You know, I honestly think you're not facing anything a whole lot different than anybody who takes their exam and passes at this time of year. You're actually be given that buffer time. You're being forced to take that buffer time to some degree and actually be better prepared. But I do think that the market is going to come back very strong once we're allowed to go out and play like normal. Because what I'm seeing just from the conversations I'm having with agents that are still out there, there's still activity going on. We still have listings coming up. Yes, it's dropped. We probably dropped by half on Friday. Like normally this time of year, going back a year, we would have had probably 70 listings come up on a day a year ago. Now we're at about 30 some. It'll be interesting to see what happens today. But the reality of it is people still need housing. They still need to buy and they still need to sell. I personally think May is probably going to be our hardest hit month, even assuming that things turn around fairly quickly and we can get back to real life within this month in April. May is going to be where we're going to see that lag time. But for you guys, that sort of would be acceptable anyway, because anything you do for business right now wouldn't probably come to fruition until June anyway. So hopefully you guys really won't feel any pain with this. It's the agents that are expecting closings in May, the first part of June, that will probably feel a little bit of stress. The good part for you guys is your training will be done, you'll be up and ready to go, and the listings are going to come on like in force, because normally we're a bit slow in July. I think we're going to have a really busy summer, which is great for you guys. But you'll be ready to get out there, and we'll have agents that are going to be overwhelmed with the listings that decided to hold off. So instead of having their listings staggered over, 3 or 4 weeks, they're going to have sellers jumping at them, and they're not going to be able to service all those needs. So the demand for open houses. And I also think the public is going to be, you know what, we've been cooped up for so long. And I know there's this standing joke going around on Facebook that agents are sharing about the fact that, you know what, you've been cooped up in the house with the family for how many weeks now, need a bigger house. Well, I think we could probably see some of that happening. And I do think maybe there will be a bit of a public perception of the way we live our lives, and maybe a little bit of a recheck that the people that maybe want more outdoor space or finding activity outside, that maybe their current way of life isn't quite what they're looking for. Now's the time to change. We tend to take some drastic measures sometimes when we're faced to look at unique situations. But I think it'll be for the benefit for everybody. So I do think if we can get you guys really, really up and running, nice and firm, that you guys are probably going to have a really good success rate on how quickly you're going to take off. And I'm not just saying that because you're forced through this situation. Like, I really sincerely think that you've got a better chance than new agents coming on in this normal spring market, because our spring market's been delayed. You're still going to get it. You're not going to miss it. So I think it's going to be a good time for you guys. So going back to that, is what I want to talk about today is to get those questions out of the way. I want to talk about what your expectation is for your first 3 months, your first 6 months, your first year. So looking at 2020. If you want to share those thoughts, then please do. If you're not comfortable with sharing those in a group, that's great. Make notes of them and we can have one-on-one conversations about them. But what I normally do is I sort of start it by throwing out a number. I think we all got into this business for a very specific reason. I know when I got into this business, I got in because my husband felt that I could make really good money, and we had 2 small kids and I wanted to be with my kids. So it gave us a bit of a life that we wouldn't have had if I had stayed working at a bank and working 9 to 5 and kids in daycare. So when I jumped into this career, I had no idea what I was doing. I was actually sort of young back then. But what it did give me was exactly what we were looking for. I didn't miss a field trip with my kids. I didn't miss a hockey game. I didn't miss a dance class. My husband worked shift work. So it still let me be home, but it gave me the chance of that within my first 6 months in the business, I made $100,000, which I definitely wasn't doing working in the bank. So, and that was 23 years ago. So it was like, you know what? It created a life for us that we probably wouldn't have had. So when people talk about what is an unrealistic expectation for somebody brand new getting in this business to make for a year, I don't disagree that $100,000 is reasonable. You guys have put a lot of money and a lot of time and a lot of effort into getting where you're at. Why wouldn't you expect to at least reach that? Is it doable? No, that's a different thing. You're coming in partway through a year. So maybe you're not going to hit the 100K, you're also on a 50-50 split. I'm just putting that out there as a common denominator, which is what I started at, 23 years ago. But the nice part is you're not going to have very many out-of-pocket expenses. Your photography, your business cards, your marketing, we've sort of got those covered. So you're ahead of the game on that side of it. So what I want to focus on, and I want you each to keep this in mind. And if you have a different number in mind, if 100,000 isn't what you're aiming for this year, if it's 150, if you left a job that was paying you 80 and you're like, it's not worth me to leave 80 to go to 100, I need to go to 150, that's fine. I'll never be a person to tell you that whatever that number is wrong. Because whatever number works for your life, if it's 50, that's fine. What we need to figure out between us individually as a group is how to get you to that number. Because I think if we take away all the fluff and really look at the reason you got into this business, you may love houses, you may love dealing with people, but the reality of it is you got in this business to make money that you can't make anywhere else, right? Am I wrong? Right. So, and there's nothing wrong with that. Money turns this world around. That doesn't make us a bad person because we want to make good money. Dave mentioned that he has a 4-year-old daughter. Well, you know what? That 4-year-old daughter is going to want to go to Disney, and she's going to want to do dance classes, and she's going to want to play soccer, and she's going to want to do all this stuff. And isn't it going to be nice when daddy can say, yeah, you know what? Daddy's just going to go sell a couple more houses and we can do all that.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
That's like my whole reason for what I do is because I wanted to create the life for my kids that I was able to create for them and buy shoes for myself, which is just wonderful. But so there's no right or wrong. Money is not evil. The nice part of it is you may have got into this business because, Jamie Lynn and Shay, I know you both have already got a bit of a background with property management and design and stuff. This is going to complement what you already do, which is great. And it's great that you're able to add that on to what you currently have in place. But isn't it even nicer if you can say, you know what, I'm going to knock it out the ballpark with this, and I'm going to hit that financial target that I want to hit. I think the important part is putting a sound business plan in place. And that's where most agents fall when they start in this business. They grab the number and then they have no idea how to get there. So I want us to work not only on the learning side of it, of how you're going to capture this business by knowing what you need to know, but what steps do we need to put in place that are uniquely yours to get you to that number that you want to get. I can push you and I can shove you, but you guys are the ones that are going to have to do the work. We can help you, give you the tools, we can support you and all that, but unless you tell us where you need us to push you, we don't know. Okay, so in looking at that, if we each take our number that we want, where is our business going to come from? So if you have a piece of paper there with you, or if you have a notepad or your iPad or something, if not, I'm going to send these notes out to you in an email format as well. I want you to think about where you just came from. What did you just leave in the real world? Because that, what you were in, is the real world. You're now into this world, which is very unique. It's what we create it to be. Good, bad, evil, ups and downs. But it's a good ride. I will tell you, in 23 years, I haven't once regretted doing what I do. Every now and then I'll think about going back to the real world. And then I go, somebody's going to want me there at like 9 o'clock in the morning every day for like 5 days in a row. That's not going to work. And then I'm like, then they're going to give me like 2 weeks vacation. Yeah, no, that's not going to work either. So it doesn't take long, like a 10-second chat with myself, and I go, no, that's not going to work. And it won't take you guys long to get that way either. So where from your past life can you tap into business? Melissa.
Yes.
What do you have for a path? Tell us all the sort of details here.
Okay, what do I have for a path? Is that what you said?
Your past life. So
my past,
your previous work. Are there avenues there that you can tap into? Past coworkers, any type of networking? What? And you don't have to share it. I'm just trying to get people getting you thinking in those
well, it was a hemp and organic cotton clothing manufacturing company that I created and ran for years, and so have a ton of knowledge on working from the ground up and doing everything on my own. So there's a lot of knowledge that I can definitely tap into to link what I'm doing now, with some of the things that I was doing before. A lot of that, a lot of that was physical labor as much as working with my mind too, and many people. But I've got my number, and I see how a lot of this can translate. But so glad to be doing this now, because that don't want to be doing that anymore.
Yeah. Okay. So we're going to work on some of those pieces too. Jamie Lynn, so you come from your own property management business. Can you tap into that to help build this business?
Definitely. My background's very diverse. So I've actually been recruiting for focus groups too for 15 years. So I have a huge network there. I still actually correspond with a lot of my tenants from all of my properties back from 15 years ago. So there could be some definite possibilities there, whether it's, possibly not them themselves, because I did deal with a lot of seniors that were downsizing, but their families that know me and trust me. So, and then I'm also involved here in the community with the St. Margaret's Bay Center and different groups around the community. So I plan on tapping into that. And I also work with some builders.
Okay. So you have some interest in new construction then?
Yeah.
That's my fun part. I love new construction.
Me too.
I could have a new house every day if my husband would build me one. But he just hates
that's definitely on my goal list. I'm a bit torn with that, because we actually have a full house here. I have 4 kids, 2 dogs. If anything, we would think about downsizing after they left, but I would be open to a new, bigger house too. So we'll see how it goes.
Life throws things at us. Shay, where are you going to be able to tap into your
yeah, just with having like my own business, I have a lot of clients who own houses, and that just past clients in general. I also work with a builder as well. So maybe trying to kind of work that angle a little bit more, and just kind of letting everybody know sort of what I'm doing and joining some networking. It's not my favorite thing to do, but I'm going to try to join some associations and just push myself to get out there. And
Good. Good. And how about you, Dave?
So I'm probably going to tap in a lot to my network that I had through Enterprise Rent-A-Car. So that's where I worked for the past 3 years or so, 3.5 years. And with that company, we actually would go out and actively market Enterprise Rent-A-Car to dealerships, body shops, places like that. And so over the years, I developed a lot of relationships with dealerships and body shops and people that work in that industry. And also everyone that works for Enterprise, like, me pretty well. I can walk into any Enterprise and chat with even people I don't know, because we worked in the same place. We're kind of like a family, as well as all of the regular customers that they had. There's a lot of face-to-face customer service that we have to do, where you're going to pick somebody up, bring them back to the shop, and then we rent the car there. So especially like the Cole Harbor area, because I started in Dartmouth, and I know a lot of people in that area just from picking them up every day, because there's so many regular customers. As well as I'm going to try and tap into my wife's family as much as I can, because she's got a huge family. She's Lebanese. John Goshen, who works for Royal LePage, is her uncle, actually. So
I love John. He's my sweetie.
Yeah, he's a great guy. So I'll probably try and tap into those guys as much as I can too.
Good. Okay, that's great. And Darcy, I know you've already sort of given some thought onto this.
Okay. Well, actually, I just moved here from BC 2 years ago, so I don't know too many people here. But interestingly enough is that I do have a lot of contacts back in BC. And in fact, this week I had an old business partner of my husband's was going to buy a house in Halifax and was going to use me, but because they can't come here, he has to isolate for 14 days, and he was only going to be here for a week, so it didn't make sense for him to come. So of course, all that's been pushed off. And then I also have another contact of a fellow in Victoria that wants to move out here. So I kind of have a feeling that just from the people that I've spoke with back there, there's quite a bit of interest of people moving out here.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of my contacts will be coming through them, and otherwise, and other realtors that I know out there as well, that are friends, family friends. And then of course, my sister is very well connected here. She's been in Lunenburg for quite a while, and her husband. And so she's been helpful in that. And then I'm also working a bit with Corey Huskelson, who's a realtor with. Yeah, really, really good. He's awesome to work with. I'm really happy that he's kind of mentoring me a little bit as well. And he's been, well, he actually gave me this one listing that I have right now.
Okay.
And so he's been walking me through it all. So it's been fantastic.
Did Tracy,
So,
have you talked to Tracy about him being your mentor? I know Tracy and I had a conversation.
no, I haven't talked to anybody yet.
Let me
So
follow
yeah.
up on that.
Yeah, because it was Corey that actually got me thinking, because I've always wanted to get into real estate.
Oh, okay. So he's the one that pulled you in.
Yeah, yeah. So that's why I've been working with him in that respect. Yeah, yeah.
Great. Okay. So you each have, you've got some really solid platforms there that you can tap into for sure. So what I'm going to spend the rest of this on is really tapping into not only your past history and your past life, but maybe rounding that out a little bit more and opening your eyes to some other avenues, because you've all hit very specific points. You know, we've got Darcy just moving here, not knowing a whole lot of people, you know, to Dave, who has a fairly large tap into a family sphere, which is great. But we need a bit more than that too, or we need some solid ground and foundation building under that. So when you look at where business can come from, there's very specific, you know, standard traditional roots that your business is going to come from. And the first couple are going to be family and friends. You'll hear the little joke going around that, you know, the worst people you're going to deal with are your family. They're probably the ones that you're going to want to refer off. But fortunately for some of us, I sold my brother's house this year, and honestly, it was painful. I didn't get paid or anything like that, but it was like 2 months of hell. But I still love my brother, I guess. I'm not sure. Anyway, it was very unique. But if we relied specifically on family and friends, we could end up going hungry. And we also want to be cautious on the relationship that we have with that family member and that friend. Those relationships are probably more important than a paycheck. But at the same point in time, if you're comfortable with pursuing those relationships, let's make sure that you have the confidence and the experience. You know, your experience is going to grow. But with what you have behind you for experience and support, let's make sure that you don't jeopardize those friendships and those family relationships, because you should be able to do both. But we need to branch out from that. You know, Jamie Lynn, you mentioned the fact that in the past 15 years, you've had a lot of tenants, some that are seniors, being able to pop into those. So your first task that I'm going to give you guys right now, and I want you to work on it between tonight and Wednesday, is you haven't received your sphere of influence database spreadsheet yet, I think, from the office. I think Laura had messaged me that she's getting you each set up with that for marketing. So in the interim, before she gets that to you, because we have a brand new database coming out from All RLPA Agents, which is great for you guys because you'll get to learn it at the get-go. So and it's an amazing system. But what I'd like you to do is, whether you take a notebook or if you have access to an Excel spreadsheet, on your computer, start a spreadsheet, whatever format works for you. Start a notebook if that's it. And I want you to start making notes. And this is going to be continual. You're going to keep adding this. This is going to be the source of your business. And we're going to fine tune it, and we're going to funnel that down as time goes on. But for now, your task is going to be to put 15 names. I want 15 contacts by Wednesday, if you can do it. Those contacts can be family members, friends, past coworkers, but I want you to be able to give me the name, the relationship, what type of business you think they're going to be able to provide you with. So there's various types. They could be a buyer or seller client themselves, or they could be a source of a referral. And believe it or not, a source of referral has more value to it than a direct buyer or seller, because a referral source is going to keep referring people to you. So those are ones we really want to focus on. If possible, I want you to put as much information in as possible. Name, relationship, email address, mailing address, phone number. You may not have access to all of those right now, but over the course of the next few weeks and months, we're going to try and add those in so that we can round those people out. For the time being right now and going into the next 3 to 6 months, we're not going to eliminate anybody from your list. So it might be a bit more of a struggle right now because being, forced inside your house, you're not meeting people or running into people as normally as you are. So there are some people that are probably going to go by the wayside in your thought process, but you'll pick them up later. But for now, maybe go through your emails, see who's there. You want advocates. You want people who, whether they ever need your actual services, are going to provide you as the person to use for real estate. So that's your first task, 15 names and as much information as possible by Wednesday. We're going to keep adding into that. The other thing I want you to think about, and I'm going to send you a sphere of influence graph and diagram. And on this sphere of influence, it's got you as the center nucleus, and then it's got shoots that go off of it. And those shoots are filled in with descriptions of potential people. You have the 4-year-old. I have the crazy cat who thinks she needs to come into my office. I guess nap time's over. Look at what I send you and alter it to meet your life. Some of the titles that are in this sphere of influence are going to be relevant to you. Car mechanic, your barber, whatever, daycare provider, whatever the case may be. But take this sphere diagram that I'm going to send you and open your mind to it. Look at it daily. My suggestion, I normally give it in a hard copy so that you can actually take it home and stick it on the wall in the office or in the playroom, wherever you happen to be. And you can make notes to it and you can make changes. But I want you to look at it on a daily basis. I want you to start keeping your mind moving in that idea of who do you actually run into in the run of a day. So this is a little bit more difficult. Normally what I challenge everybody to do is as you're out doing your daily activities, I want you to keep a little journal. And I normally give you a little book to keep in your pocket because this is one of those hard school ones where you actually 3 or 4 times a day, you pull it out and you go, okay, what have I done today? So it's sort of like a time log as well. But what I'm looking for is who do you interact with in the normal course of your day? It's amazing when you start this exercise, how many people you actually have conversations with that could be leads into potential business for you. So in this new world that we're socially alienating each other from, our social distancing, if you can get within 6 feet of people, great, add them into your notebook. But something to keep your mind open to. What is your normal day? You get up, you go to Tim Hortons, you do this, you do that. Maybe you go to the gym, maybe you go for a run, maybe you have a coffee break meeting with some friends or something like that. You take your kids to daycare, you take them to school. Who are you running into? Who are you having conversations with? So something else to keep in your mind over the course of the next days. These are all people that could become sources of referral or revenue for you. Whereas before, they were just acquaintances and people you ran into. Now they have, excuse me. Angel. Freaking cat. I got 2 cats, 2 dogs. Like a friggin' farm around here. And that usually never even comes downstairs. So she's the upstairs cat. So start thinking in those lines as well. Maybe the good thing to think about in the current situation we're in is it's going to give you a little bit more leisure on fine-tuning what your day looks like and who you run into and paying a little bit more attention to it rather than just going. So the slowdown isn't necessarily a bad thing. The other thing I want you to start thinking about is going back to your past life, what you did for work. Who did you work with? And I'm going to use Dave as an example here. You mentioned that coming from Enterprise Car Rental, you had a lot of tap-ins. So you had the people that you worked with in your local dealership location, but you also went out with clients, and you also went out to garages and to different places trying to sell your services.
Yeah.
So when you think about that, if you narrowed that down into who were the people that you were in contact closest with on a daily basis, weekly basis, what could be a touch out to them? What would be the message that you could send to those people? So what I'm getting to with this is that the message that you maybe want to send, or how you send it to the guys that you worked with, or the people, and I'm not being sexist, that's just a random term there, guys, girls, whatever, that you dealt with within your actual physical location in Dartmouth, Monday to Friday, maybe the message you're going to send out to them to let them know that you're now doing this and you've successfully completed the licensing criteria is this message. That message may not be the same message that you would go to Forbes with as a dealership and drop off to their salespeople or their management team or their admin team. So it's going to have the same theme to it, that this is who I am, this is what I'm doing, but it probably is going to have a little bit of a different slant to it. So start thinking about who those touches are from a past business relationship and what specific message you want to send to them to get them on your side, to get them to be your advocate. Has everybody had their headshots done?
No.
Nobody yet? Okay, yeah, I know our
Me.
Asim's in quarantine, our main photographer. I think he's out tomorrow. I think he gets sprung tomorrow. He's past his 14 days, but I think he's extending it a couple just to be on the safe side. So, and I do believe we have one more that came back on. So I would assume you should get your headshots this week. So until we actually get you fully up and running with NSAR and NSREC, we can't get your business cards out there. But by the sounds of it, we're all going to be on that page by early next week. So, and this is something you're going to have to think about from a personal point of view. Normally what I would get you to do is I would provide you with some note cards, and we'd start sending out little personal handwritten notes with your business cards in them to those specific people we're talking about. There's no reason why you can't do it now. Because of the current situation, I guess you want to be politically correct, I guess, or compassionate. But at the same point in time, it's going to have a different message than if I were to turn around and send out messages right now looking for business. You guys are new, just getting started. You're excited. There's no reason it should be slowed down. You're dealing with the reality of what's happening in the world, but you also are optimistic that, you know what, we are going to get through this. It's just a matter of time, and reach out that way. You're still excited about what you're doing. You're still planning your business. You're still working around it. So give some thought to that. I will make sure that we get you a package done up. And what I'm probably going to do, if you're each okay with it, is I'll either make arrangements to meet you with your key to the office, so that I can hand you a key so that you can get in and out of all the offices, and we'll have your copiers and everything all set up so that you can go in and start doing printing and stuff like that. But I'll also get together a package of note cards and some of the stuff that we're going to need to get some of these tasks done, so that if we are held up at home a bit longer, then at least you have those resources that you have at your fingertips to start tapping into. So on top of your sphere of influence, you're going to start looking at those breakdowns of past life. I consider your sphere of influence more of a personal touch versus a business relationship. So I break it down. Your sphere of influence are people that you interact with daily in your personal, private life. So if you or your significant other were to be doing a task, it could be one or the other of you, dropping kids off at daycare, going to the grocery store, taking the car to get work done. I guess we would eliminate hairdressers, but a great source. If you have somebody that does your hair or does your nails, Dave, we know you had your nails done yesterday, so you're okay there. Or if you're involved in any type of a book club or any type of social gathering that's specific on a personal nature, they're going to get a different type of message than somebody who would have a past business relationship, because they look at you differently. So if you were to send out the same message to everybody, you would probably lose half the people you just sent the message out to because it's going to come across the wrong way. So you need to gear your message towards the intended recipient and the relationship you have with them. Okay, you're coming at this from a business point of view, but if it's a soft business touch that you're coming from because it's a personal contact, then it needs to have that consistency with it, with the business polish on it. So we're going to start looking at those pieces as well, your past business life. So now you've got another layer you added into that. The other piece I want you to start thinking about is we can send out an introduction letter. On behalf of All RLPA, we have a nice little standard template letter that we can do up. You give us the names, we can send them out, or vice versa. Just saying, you know, so this would be a little bit more polished per se. It's not going to have that personal touch. Some people like it, some people don't. You know, maybe you'll have 5 or 10 or 20 people that you want to send something like that out to. So as you're making your list, sort of categorize them whether or not it's a soft feel, personal touch, if it's a little bit more business driven, or if it's a hardcore business. Shay and Jamie, you both mentioned that you have contacts with builders. Are they the type of builders that a solid business approach would appeal more to them? So they know you a bit on a personal business relationship now, but maybe for them, because builders are a struggle to try and get business from, maybe a hardcore business approach is what they need to see from you coming into this new career that you've chosen. Or are you better off going with the more softer touch, the more personal note type of thing? I'm just throwing out thoughts for you. We're going to build on those a little bit more over the course of the next few days. Melissa, you may want to look at doing the same thing from a business approach from the people, some of the people that you encountered in your past life, that in your other business, you know, maybe going towards them with a soft touch, isn't it? Maybe you need to go from a business perspective because they knew you from that business relationship. You know, maybe they're never going to buy houses here in Nova Scotia, but maybe they know people who might be coming this way or have interest. The one thing you have to keep in mind, each of you, is that the person that you're talking to and sending that note to is going to be talking to how many other people that you may have no connection with. And those could be the people that we're tapping into. Referral revenue streams in this business is phenomenal. It really is. So don't hesitate to reach out to somebody knowing that they're never going to need your services here, but they may know somebody who will, because you don't know who they're going to run into. The other point is they may need your services where they're at, but you can't provide them with that service, but you can find them somebody who can provide that service, and you'll get a referral feedback from that. So there's other ways to keep communication going. Okay. So think about the intro letter from a business perspective, if that's something that we want to hit on. The other thing I want you guys to think about is, and I'm giving you lots of thoughts. That's why we're not talking again until Wednesday. Jamie Lynn, you mentioned that you live in the Tantallon area. You're already involved in, you know, focus groups and St. Margaret's Bay Association and stuff like that. That's great. So from my point of view, you're already working your farm area. So does everybody know what a farm area is? Geographical farming. Okay. How do you each feel about geographical farming? Something of interest? No. It's like door knocking. It isn't for everybody. Hmm? Okay. Okay, so geographical farming is a bit easier than door knocking, but it involves door knocking in most cases. So when you look at geographical farming, what I want you to look at is, and we're going to look at where you can find some of this information in the coming days, is I want you to look at where you physically live right now, or the neighborhood that you're comfortable with. So Dave, did you grow up in the Dartmouth area?
No, but I spent some time growing up out in Fall River.
Okay, so let's use that as an example. If you grew up in an area, or you spent a fair amount of time in an area, but you don't currently reside there, but you're comfortable with that area,
yeah,
then that could be the area that you choose to do your geographical farming. And what you're going to do with geographical farming is you're going to pick ideally about 500 houses, spreading it out to maybe 1,000 to 1,500 max. You're going to cultivate that area. You're going to send out unaddressed ad mail. You're going to promote yourself in that area. You're going to do some door knocking. You're going to do some soft touches. But ideally, you're going to work that area. It's not going to be a quick turnaround. It's usually a 6 to 8 months before you even start to get any traction. Door knocking, believe it or not, in some areas works really, really well. In this market, it can work very, very well because there's a lot of people out there looking to sell. So popping on their door can actually be very easy. You've got to be comfortable with it. We will, at some point in time, look at doing door knocking as a group. We'll do some scripts. We'll either go out as a group or I'll partner you up with somebody who goes out door knocking. A lot of my new agents have had a really good success in the past year with door knocking. So I will bring in a couple of those to have chats with you if you're at all interested or a bit hesitant. But it's something, if you're going to do geographical, so Jamie Lynn, you may be a little bit of an exception to that. If you're already known in your community to some degree, maybe what you need to look at versus the door knocking is another way to spread that out a little bit more. How does your presence get known a little bit more? Once you start getting signs up in the area, that will carry a lot of weight, but we need to get to that point. So thinking about geographic farming, are you interested in doing it? And if you are, what area are you interested in? And I would like an answer to that on Wednesday, what area? Because then we've got a lot of homework to do. And we're going to look at the stats, if it's a good area, what the common denominator is, what price point, who's buying, who's selling, and that type of thing. Okay. So when we look at the geographic farming and door knocking, it's a multi-lever one. It's a long-term commitment. It's going to build you a solid presence in that area, ideally. Okay. So that's what we're going to look at on geographic farming. The last piece I'm going to bring up is open houses. How do you each feel about open houses?
I've done some
Good.
for rentals, so.
Have you?
I'm
So
good there. Yeah.
you're comfortable?
Mhm.
Jay, you're okay? Melissa?
I've done them in the past in
Okay.
the States when I sold real estate, and
Okay.
I love them. I love open houses.
I
Can't
do
wait to
too.
do
I
more.
love them, hate them.
I've never been to an open house.
You haven't been to an open house?
No, I was going to go to one and then the world fell apart. So
Like hell in a handbasket.
yeah.
Well, and it's, you know, it's funny because that's normally what I try to do is get new agents going out before they get licensed so that they can do mystery shopping at open houses.
Yeah, that was my plan.
Yeah, because it's not so much the host you're looking at, it's the mannerisms and the presentation of the agent who's doing it. So we will get to that at some point. Darcy, your area is a little bit unique with open houses.
They don't have very many.
No, they don't. South Shore, so Darcy's on the South Shore side of things. The South Shore and the Valley don't tend to be really big on open houses. So we'll look at some other options for you as well that might work.
Mhm.
But you are close enough that we can bring you into the city to do some as well. But with open houses, I'm a huge supporter of them for new agents especially. There's buyers out there looking, and that's what you're looking for at an open house. Buyers are your quickest revenue stream in this business. Sellers take a little bit more time, they take more hand-holding, they take more work. The listings are great because somebody's going to have a buyer for them, but the buyers that are out there that don't have representation are actually looking at buying a house. So if you're hosting an open house for another agent, your whole purpose of being there is what? Why are you at that open house?
Hopefully get a potential buyer.
Exactly. You're not there to sell that house. You're there to pick up a buyer. Whether that house or a house is totally unlike the one you're at doesn't matter. The fact of the matter is you're looking to represent a buyer. So our whole focus on getting you ready to host an open house is to focus on the buyer customer service side of it and making a buyer comfortable. So for those of you who have experienced an open house to some degree, I want you to start thinking about what your ideal presentation at an open house would be. Dave, I want you to give some thought as to what your expectation would be, having not been to one, but what do you think it would be like? We are going to work on putting together a toolkit for open houses that is unique to each of you. Since we're not actually able to do open houses at the current moment, I think what I might get put together for next week is I'm going to add in maybe a couple agents who do really, really well at open houses that are newer agents, that, you know, within their first year, their success probably could be attributed to the business they picked up at open houses. I'll get a couple of them to add them into our call, and maybe we can have a little bit of a conversation with them about, you know, what they did. And then it can get you thinking. Well, I'll also get you some resources to tap into on open houses. But I really think if we're really well prepared to start doing open houses as soon as we're able to, there's going to be a lot of business to be had at them. So are there any other areas that you guys can think of for streams of revenue that I haven't brought up? There's no right or wrong.
I'd like to do a little bit of commercial, like small units, kind of align with my property management. So I'm hoping to get some of those. Would be nice. I
Okay,
have
so
investors that are looking at properties and things like that. So
okay, so that's something that we should look at very specifically. How can you attract those? We have Tim Margolian in our office. I don't know if you know Tim.
no.
So Tim just joined Royal LePage about 2 years ago this summer. He was always with commercial brokerage. He is fully commercial. I don't know if he even does any residential at all, but he's a full commercial guy. He's selling Burnside. He's selling, you know, Larry Utech. That's the type of stuff he does. So when Tim came on to us, he's sort of getting to the point where he's, you know, slowing down. But part of the reason he came on board was that he was sort of going to help guide our agents on the commercial income side of it. So I definitely can set up something for you to chat with him as well. We do have a couple other resources. I'll be brutally honest, commercial is not my avenue. It's
I
mind-boggling.
love commercial. I don't know why, but I've
at some
always
point in time, I'll put you in contact with my cousin, who is a commercial agent here in the city, that you can have a chat with her, because there's very few females in commercial real estate.
I know. I heard it's boys' world.
It's a boys' world. My cousin is with Partners Global and has been for
Okay.
quite a while. And I think she's the only female agent in commercial that I know.
Wow.
But she loves it. So I will definitely set you up with her, because she's a good avenue to have as well. I bounce a lot of commercial stuff off with her. We do have a couple other agents in-house that do smaller amounts of commercial than what Tim does, but I'll definitely set something up with you on that side, and we'll get you some support on that. But it's definitely an avenue that we should start thinking about. Okay, how do we get you into that? How do we get you some contacts? What message can we send to start tapping into that for you? Because I do think it's a valuable way to go for you, for sure, if you're willing to take it on. So is there anything else anybody else is thinking that they would like to tap into that we can add in specifically to each of you?
I know I like a mortgage broker, so maybe some other people that are kind of in that area, mortgage brokers, your banker, that sort of thing.
So one of your tasks next week is actually going to be to start meeting some of those people, and where you can start building some business relationships on that. So yes, definitely start thinking along those lines, for sure. Anything else? I've thrown a fair amount at you guys this morning. This is our thinking morning of where we're going to get the money coming from, which that tends to drive us through the fun part of learning how to decipher a buyer's agreement.
I have quite a few contacts in Atlantic Canada, like the Maritimes, PEI. It's funny, actually, one of the Royal LePage people, our agents in PEI, reached out to me. We're now friends on Facebook.
Oh, good.
I join a lot of different groups and things like that. But I would definitely like to know how that relationship would work and how I could tap into that. Again, some of them are tenants, some of them are focus group people. A lot of them follow me on Facebook and things like that. So I think that could definitely be a stream for me.
Yep, it definitely could. And maybe it's something in the lines of how you do your marketing. So that was sort of the last piece I want to talk about, is individual pieces of marketing, because we're going to start pulling all these together over the course of the weeks. So for you on that regard, maybe do each of you have a Facebook page, personal Facebook page? I assume yes.
Yes.
So you should give some thought to a business Facebook page.
Mm-hmm.
Keep your personal, keep your business. My suggestion is you take a look at how to create a business Facebook page and do so. And then what you're going to do is invite some of the people from your personal to your business right? That doesn't mean that all have to be invited, but maybe, Jamie Lynn, for you, your business Facebook page would be a good way to start building those networks.
Yeah, I
Getting
have one
that out
already.
and sharing that. So maybe you need to get it out
The new
there
one.
as this, that, the next thing. And then maybe underneath that is doing some maybe focus groups within your Facebook page, or doing some blog posts specifically that could target some of those. You know, being a little bit unique in your creativeness on what it is you're trying to get out to each of those groups. So for you, you've already got your geographic farming sort of on the go, but maybe another piece isn't the geographic farming. Maybe it's actually the group farming, whereas you're appealing to specific groups and you're farming those groups. So it's taking what you would do in a geographic farming area and turning it into a personal farming group. It's just finding that key. So if you can plot those things out, those are things that we definitely can help start building on with you for sure. On the marketing side of things, we'll build from the Facebook page. Have any of you thought about how you're going to market yourself? What are your key pieces? What are your preferences? Is there anything you want to shy away from? Anything you're not comfortable with, but something that you're really supportive of? Dave, what's your thoughts?
Well, I was gonna focus a lot on Facebook and on social media. That was my plan as well. I was going to do a lot of door knocking because I'm totally comfortable doing that stuff.
Awesome.
So I was pretty eager to do all that actually. I had areas planned, everything was ready to go. So that's on the back burner now. So,
but you know what, we can start putting your messages together and actually build a plan. So what I want to talk to each of you about, and over the course of the next couple of weeks, we're going to put together a marketing plan. So there's your first start on it. If you've already got an idea of what you want to do for door knocking and what you want to do for social media, let's take a calendar. And this is an exercise I do with everybody, that we take blank calendars for the rest of the year, and we actually plot out what you want to accomplish on the marketing side of it. Okay, so that's something I'm going to be sending along to you guys next week. But this is getting the ideas going. So in your little notebook that we should have on the go, or your notes page, start making a little note on the marketing side of it. What's the message you're sending out in social media? On what venues and platforms are you sending out? Are you doing Instagram? Are you doing Twitter? Are you doing Facebook? You know, exactly how are you doing that? Don't try to do everything, but do something really well. Okay. Where do you have followers now? What are you most comfortable with? What do you want to learn? And build from there. Okay. Shay, what's your thoughts on for marketing?
I'm really just going to dive into reaching out to my personal past clients from say careers. And I think I tend to have more personal relationships. Like it's not overly businessy. So I think like the handwritten something.
Okay. More personal. Which makes sense. Okay. So maybe what you need to look at doing on that marketing side of it, and when we look at the calendar, is creating a calendar of, okay, I want to do 5 personal note cards a day, and actually start holding yourself accountable to doing that. You know, and maybe we're going to talk about some other marketing pieces that come a little bit later, but little pop buys, little thoughtful things that we can add into that. In probably August, I'm going to start a session that's offered by Brian Buffini, who is one of the leading real estate coaches around the world. And it's called Peak Producers. I'm just finishing it up with one group now, but I'm going to run it again this summer. And it's all about the personal touch, the pop pies, building your database and your referral. But this session that I'm going to run is going to be specific to new to the business people. I want to focus on the groundwork starting up. So it would be a great fit for what you're looking at doing. But if you want to start putting some idea on a calendar basis on that. Jamie Lynn, I'm skipping by you because we sort of went by yours. Melissa, what's your thoughts on the marketing for yourself?
Yeah, what I want to do is I really want to get into the open houses.
Okay.
I've only been here since August, and I live out at the Bay. I am shying away.
Whereabouts are you?
I'm actually in Upper Tantallon, so Jamie and I are neighbors.
We're you can take me
and friends. So we can
friends.
Well, and I have another agent that just started from out there too, Doug, and he's a great guy.
Okay, and I just want to be honest that where my heart is is in condominium, new development, open houses, working actually more in the city.
Hundreds.
So, in the surrounding areas, I'm
Okay.
so drawn to this condominium, and I see the future in the condominium industry. I really see that. So I really don't want to farm the area that
Okay.
I'm in.
No, so you
I'm
want to
not
look at a different area.
I'm just not drawn to it. So I'm here. This is where I am, and I am going to work with the schools. You know, joining this. You know, with my kids, they're both in 2 different schools, and with people who do live here. So I'm not going to just turn that business away whatsoever. I'm going to look into that. But I just moved here from the States in August, so brand new as far as
Good move. Good timing.
No, right. That I am a Canadian. I was born in Canada, just, you know, as you can hear from my accent, you know, raised in the South. So anyway,
my daughter's trying to get back to the States to close her apartment, so it's all funny.
Oh, it's a mess. So I just can't help it. Like as soon as I figured out I wanted to get back into real estate, everything was this condo, this whole condominium, this new development, and working the condos and figuring out all about that. And the open houses, I'm so excited about. I'm so excited about finding buyers, and I want to niche in to the buyers side of things.
Good.
So so I feel like I've kind of niched in with what I that's what I want to do.
When we go back to the fact of the geographic farming, it doesn't have to be an actual map location that you're farming. It can be exactly, you know, that type of product or that type of area. But it's knowing that so that we can lay the plan out to meet what you want to have come out of it. I'm really excited. You guys all have a really good idea of where you want to be and what direction you want to go, and all very uniquely different, which is really great, because it'll be fun. You guys will share a lot of different ideas and you'll pick up from each other as well. So that is totally wonderful. Anything else I've left unanswered for you guys at this point? We've gone over a lot of things. We've gone in a lot of directions. But that's sort of what our first few days are going to be.
I have a question.
Yep.
One thing that I want to do soon is to kind of launch my Facebook business page. But I'm hesitant to do any launching of any kind until I get a headshot.
Yeah, so I would wait until you get your headshot. So once you get your headshot, and I'm going to follow up with exactly those when we finish here. Once you get your headshot taken, normally we have like a 24-hour turnaround before you actually get them and can start using them.
Yeah.
And I'm going to assume we'll be pretty much on timing for that. We still we have fewer in our photography department right now because, of course, what has happened, I'm not sure you guys probably, you will. Did you get the invite to the town hall meeting for tomorrow morning at 10?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think I did.
Okay. I'll follow up. If you haven't received an invite, probably from Mark or Matt for tomorrow morning, 10 a.m., let me know, but I'll follow up on that. I had sent the list off yesterday, and I followed up this morning, so everybody should get it. So what is happening within Royal LePage because of the current situation is we were the first brokerage that we actually physically closed our offices down and asked the agents to stop coming in. We kept some of our frontline staff on site for a few more days for another week.
On the kettle, honey.
And no, it's not too early for vodka, trust me.
I said the kettle, it was a tea, not a vodka, I swear.
Okay. Coconut water. So our offices at this point, they've actually laid pretty much most of the support staff off. So it's just the management team that is sort of handling the daily activities. And part of the rationale from that was knowing that this could drag on for a bit while. We wanted people to get in while the qualifications for getting their EI and stuff like that were at the easy point and they could get in and have no downtime. And the reality of it is we are a business and we're probably going to hit some hard times come May. Our sales are good for now, but we need to be able to carry through May and June. So we're running with a little bit of a skeleton staff to some degree. So far, we're not seeing any hiccups. The agents have been great. And the staff that are still here have really pulled together to get everything done very quickly and efficiently. And what they've done is the reviewing as needed. So I think this week they're probably going to bring it back like an extra person enlisting and stuff like that as we see how things are going to hold tight. Our photography department we have a huge photography department, and because of the restrictions on actually going out and doing photography and interacting with people, they've cut those services back quite a bit. So we were able to scale down the photography department significantly, but it shouldn't impact the production turnaround on your guys' headshots. They should be done in within 24 hours. You should have them, which will then get you out there to put your social media and all that together. But I would hold off till you have that headshot. Once we get your headshot, have you picked out a business card template for those of you that have done yes, and you two are no? Okay. Yeah. Once we have the headshot chosen, if your card template is already, the normal turnaround for your business cards from the time we put the order in is usually about 7 days. I don't expect that would be any slower because of what's going on, because it's being done off site, and most behind the scene things seem to be working still fairly quickly. The only thing may slow down is a little bit on the delivery side. I don't know how things are going on that side. So overall, you shouldn't see any delay in some of those things. And for now, the streamlining on the staff side shouldn't impact you guys any at all.
So I had a quick question.
Yep.
Actually, Shane and I just had a photo shoot on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
If some of those pictures, we're just waiting to get them back. If some of those pictures were acceptable, will we be able to use those?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. If you choose,
Perfect.
if you're good with them. So they'll send you out, and ask you which one do you want for your headshot, this and that. And then they'll provide you with the link for all of them.
Not from you guys. We had someone else take pictures for our businesses like separate, but then we got a lot of us together. So
yep.
Yeah, I was just thinking,
and that's something I should
save them
probably
some
have a
time.
conversation with you two on. Are you guys teaming up? We can do this separately. We can get together in another call.
Yeah, I'd like to see what that looks like and what we're allowed to do and not allowed to do with our businesses. And like I was saying, I have a different page for my business. So yeah, we definitely have to figure out what we can and can't do there.
Yeah, so maybe what we want to do is schedule a time for the three of us to do a call.
That would be great.
Maybe on Thursday afternoon or even tomorrow afternoon, whatever your guys' schedule allows, and start looking at how we can get that out there running as well. If that works.
We need help with our name. We can't figure out what to name our team. So if anyone
It's been driving us crazy.
I know.
But you know what? It's a good thing to put out there, because sometimes it's that offside person that really has no connection that comes up with the ideal thing.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Make a poll or a focus group for that, Jamie.
There you go. Yeah.
Focus group for sure.
She's the director of the relationship, right? You're the to-doer.
It's funny because we both have strengths and weaknesses, and we're almost directly aligned. Like things that I don't like to do, she likes to do, and things that she likes to do, I don't like to do. So it's perfect working relationship.
Good. That'll work well then, or hopefully work well. It should anyway. But yeah, so you should have your headshots fairly quickly. We can get your cards going. Once we get your cards in hand, then we can actually start getting some ideas of how you want to put them out there, get your social media up and going. But definitely, take a look at your Facebook account, your Instagram account, whatever you're going to do, and give some thought to what that message is that you're going to start sending out. The nice part of having to take a little bit of a downtime before you launch your Facebook page is to give it some pre-thought before you get out there, and just because creep some agents.
Already have.
Yeah. I'm not a big social media person. And the only reason I probably have Facebook at all is because I used to keep tabs on my kids, and now I just sort of watch agents type thing. And sometimes I just go, remember, it's a public image you're putting out there. Hence the reason I really stress that keeping yourself personal to one side and your business to the other. You want that business thing to come back to you. So if you haven't started creeping agents, creep their social media stuff, but also creep websites is a really good place to go. Have each of you done your bios yet?
No.
You need your bios. You want your bio up at the same time as your picture and stuff goes on the RLPA site. So my suggestion is, if Sarah hasn't sent you the little bio cheat sheet, I'll get it to you, but take a look at websites. Go into realtor.ca, just Google real estate agents. It doesn't have to be somebody from here. It can be the state, it can be wherever, but read bios and get a feel for the flow and what we're works for you, and steal bits and pieces from places. But your bio is hugely important. The amount of people that actually search for their agent online is phenomenal, and they read bios. So give a really strong feel to what you want to come off on that side of it. But stalking people is amazing what you can find.
I have hundreds of screenshots in my phone. Every time, I've been doing this for months now. Every time I see something another agent does, I take the screenshot of it.
Good. So there's a lot of homework for you guys to do between now and Wednesday. So we're starting to shape your business. So on Wednesday, what we're going to look at is I'll get you guys get you some NSAR access. We're going to sort of circle back into what we've talked about today, because we're going to build from that every day, but we're actually going to get into working with buyers. So we're going to look at Paragon, how to do searches. We're going to look at the tools that we have available to us, not only property online, but PVSC, HRSB, some various things that you're going to need, why you're going to need them. We're going to build a buyer's kit over the course of the next few days. We're going to look at actually writing a transaction and what you need. We're going to build in some mortgage components with mortgage people, lawyers, and all those bits and pieces that you're going to need in your toolbox for when you're dealing with a buyer. Okay? So between now and then, if you think of anything, you have any questions, don't hesitate to give me a shout. I'm around somewhere. If you want to share it with the group, by all means, just write it down and share it with us. And we'll go from there. So how do you guys feel now?
Feel
Feel
good.
excited? I didn't scare you away?
No.
I feel less scared.
Good.
Less
You know
scared,
what?
yes.
You guys, honestly, when I first found out that you were actually licensed, I'm like, ooh. And then I thought, no, you know what? Part of me is like, you don't necessarily need to license, because we would have gotten you around that curve if you didn't do it. But at the same point in time, you're going to be ready to go out the door as soon as the door can get opened. And there's a lot that we can get moving behind the scenes. You definitely are restrained if you don't have full access to everything. We're limited what we can do and exactly how much we can get out there. So I have a really good feeling about this. And I do think it's just a matter of time before those doors open, and it's going to be full force. So we want to have you guys really up and ready to go when those doors happen, because once it gets, you'll just run crazy, and then it'll be December and you'll be going to me, well, I don't know, did I finish my training? I'm not sure. I'll keep tabs on you. I'll know where you are. So, okay. So tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. is the town hall meeting for the office. For those of you that can join, I'll make sure you guys, if you don't get the invite, Jamie and Shay, let me know, and I'll make sure that gets sent back out to you. Melissa, you have fun moving.
Thank you.
Okay. Lynn, quick question for you on a personal side. Wedding. How's the wedding? Like, I've been thinking about your wedding. Like, should I ask?
Everything seems like it's a go for now, but actually in our conversation, you just made me realize that my wedding vendors could all be potential sales. I actually wrote that down.
Okay, good. I've honestly been thinking about your wedding for like,
I know, I'm hoping September 12th. So if it's a go, it's great. But the only other thing I'm worried about is all the people in June and July that are pushing their weddings out. You know, but at least I have everything secured with deposits. So I'm not worried about losing any of my people.
They shouldn't be able to bump you.
Yeah, so that's good. But yeah, a little bit stressful. Definitely thinking about it. It's 250 people. All my invitations are out there sitting on so I'm hesitating sending them out.
Yeah. I actually said it to my daughter the other day. I was like, oh no, one of our newest agents is getting married. I wonder what this is doing to her wedding plans. And I was going to message you. I was like, I can't do that. I can't do that. So I'm glad.
Happy to know though, I got 25 or 24.5 on my forms. I don't know what I missed the 0.5 on.
Awesome.
But yeah.
Great. How did everybody else do on their forms?
25.
Good.
Yeah. I lost a couple points. I don't know where they went.
Okay, but that's good. As long as you're in those 20s, that's good.
Yeah, I got 25.
It made me think about you though when I see my mark. I'm like, oh, she would be so happy.
Good. Yeah. I always love hearing the forms. I wish I could conquer the rest of it for everybody, but
I had a lot of different short and long answers than what we studied.
Really?
Yeah, my exam was kind of different than everybody else's. It was a couple of us got the same exam. But I had thought that I rocked the multiple choice, and I didn't know about, honestly, I filled out everything I knew, and then I said, you know what, I'm just going to write stuff in here and bullshit the best way I know how and get through it, honestly. And I even came out of there saying, if I passed, I just passed. And it's because of the multiple choice. I actually bombed the multiple choice and had almost full points on my long and short answer. Don't know how.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you know what? And that's the thing, like after everything I say for that week when I'm with you guys about it, it's just a free for all. Until you experience it, there's no deciphering or understanding what they're doing. And it's funny because I keep getting this comment that people are running into questions that nobody's heard of before.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they've created whole new exams or if they've got pieces, or I don't know what they're doing.
I remember some of the questions, so I'll send them to you.
Me. Yeah, because I've got time to prep now because April sales licensing is canceled and the exam.
I know.
So NSAR isn't having the course, nor are they having the exam from NSREC. So
Are they having the online course or just nothing?
well, there was some debate last week about whether or not they were actually going to enroll anybody else in the online, because people who are completing, there's no date for them to write now.
Okay.
And I mean, that's a bit tough. Like Owen finished his, like I had 3 people that were supposed to write for April and now they can't. So
and even the couple that didn't pass in our group, who wanted to write in April, now can't.
Wait.
Yeah.
I mean, how many, very few from our group, I feel like, went forth with the licensing, right?
You guys are the only ones that licensed. Lindsay, who didn't do, I think Lindsay did exam prep with you, Melissa, the last time. She was from Annapolis. She passed. She's in the Valley. And she licensed right away. But I've talked to about 4 or 5 that passed, but they're not licensing until July.
Okay.
Probably. They have other things on the go as well. And then with everything that's currently going on, they decided to hold off. I did reach out to them and tell them that I was going to do sales licensing because my surgery, of course, got postponed. So it made me available. So I need to get you guys finished through this so that I can get my surgery at the end of it. So
what about the girl that worked at Royal LePage? Agents? Her name's just
Lauren.
Coming.
Yeah,
Lauren.
Yep.
She passed?
Yeah, she passed. She messaged me right away. She was like,
fabulous.
And her mother messaged me, thank you.
Did she receive her mark right away, or is she one of the people that had to wait a week? Because we received our marks.
Wait to get her mark because she didn't have it. She just knew she had passed. And that was really weird because some people got their pass.
We had ours on Tuesday after the Saturday.
Yeah, and Dave, you had to wait till Monday.
I had to wait, and because Sarah wrote me and was like, "Oh, everyone's got their mark. How'd you do?" And I was like, "I didn't get my mark."
Well, that was sort of. I had a couple calls from people, and I was like, "Why are the marks out now?" And then I was like, I was going to reach out to people. I was like, I haven't heard from these people, so I don't dare. And then I guess Sarah let me know that some people hadn't gotten theirs. So I was talking to Pam Crane at NSREC, and she said, one of the markers did theirs right away, and the other one hadn't.
Yeah.
That's a bit unfair because, of course, you're talking in amongst yourselves. You've got a handful that got theirs and a handful that didn't. And that's like, you must have been a mess by the time Monday.
I was just checking my email like every 10 minutes for an entire week.
Oh, I'm sure. I would have been up in the middle of the night checking.
Yeah, and we have a Slack group with all of us. So it's like 20 people from the class, and a handful of us were able to, tell people if we passed or not. And then the other ones that wrote had to wait. So they were a little bit
that's stressful.
Yeah.
And stressed.
Yeah, that really is. But yeah, I'm going to I actually have a call with Pam Crane later today about the intended move forward with the licensing stuff. And I'm going to ask her about, is NSAR going to stop the online registration? Because I've got a couple people that were ready to sign on for it, but they're okay. They want to get through it really quickly though. So if they whiz through it, then they don't know when they can take their exam. And that's not ideal. You want to finish it and take your exam, ideally. So, okay, you guys are good to go play for the rest of the day. Play with your homework. Get some thought going. And yeah, I'm excited. We'll get going on all this and get you guys finished. And hopefully we can time it perfectly that you're all good and shiny and ready to go and you're out the door like a lightning bolt.
Perfect.
Okay, if you guys have any questions, just give me a shout. I'm around most times. Text, email, phone call, whatever. I'm on my phone.
Great.
Sounds good.
Okay,
Thank
have
you
a great
so much.
afternoon.
You too.
Thanks so much.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye,
Bye,
everybody.
guys.